The title is Be Like Water or Resemble as Water. So all these words are fine for translation. So chapter 8, we can dissect the body into 3 parts, the intro, body, and conclusion. Most of the case in most of the chapter, although some chapter you will just have the intro and the body, but for this particular chapter, we can separate them into 3 sections. As you notice that in the body part, Lao Tzu used a very short phrase, 3 words per verse. It's more like a poetic style, which I like it very much. So I try to do the translation echo with his structure of writing. Let's begin. So the greatest virtue is like water. What is virtue here? Virtue, I have the definition here. Virtue is it's a behavior and speech, but it's virtue is good expression. And this expression has to be manifest. So this is a manifestation of Tao. If somebody is really virtuous, we will say this person is a virtuous gentleman. We say virtuous speech, virtuous behavior, or virtuous act. So this expression have to manifest, have to express for other people to see. So without the expression, it cannot consider virtue. So just like chapter 4 described, to utilize Tao, Tao must be activated. So the greatest virtue, it's resemble Tao, but just like Tao Te Ching chapter 1 described, Tao cannot be expressed, cannot be spoken. So Lao Tzu used water as a metaphor. He wants to deliver the virtue of Tao, but it's really difficult because it cannot be described, it cannot be spoken, it's not tangible. So Lao Tzu miraculously uses metaphor, water, something that we use every day. It's something that all the sentient beings need to use, and that's water. And the greatest virtue is no intention. It does not have any human intention. For example, there is no jealousy, there is no hate, no comparison, no favoritism, no judgment, and no differentiation. This is a form of a wu wei. So Lao Tzu used water as a metaphor because water comes with this great characteristics. It comes with this form of formless. It has no taste and no smell. If the water has taste or smell, it must be something that's being added on. So the purity of water has no taste and no smell. Isn't that about our true nature, our original pure consciousness? It's not supposed to have any form or shape. It does not smell, does not stink. It's odorless, and also it's colorless. And because it does not have any color, so it represents selflessness, which we talk about in chapter 7. Water does not have color. It's supposed to be transparent, right? So if a water has color, say we put some kind of red ink into the water, stir a strawberry or lemonade or some kind of blueberry into the water, and the water will change its color. But water does not have color. It's supposed to be transparent and translucent. So this really represents our original pure consciousness. I list down the function of water. So this function, it's what water originally has. It's the original inborn nature that water has. It's nothing that we need to teach, nothing that we need to add on. It's sort of same like our inborn nature. Our inborn nature is supposed to be humble, supposed to be virtuous, supposed to have a filial piety, supposed to be courageous, supposed to be benevolent. So let's look at all this function here. If you have a cup of water and there's a sediment, and when you stir it, it will mingle with the water. But then after a period of time, if you let it sit, all the sediment will come down. So all the impurity will settle down in the bottom of the container or the bottom of the body of water. So this represent we need to let go. This is something that we can learn from water. We need to let go of our anger, our resentment, and when we see the impurity goes down to the bottom, it kind of teaches us that we need to recover to our original peaceful state. And same thing for number 2, when water is settled, you can see in the surface, it's still, it's in total tranquility. We need to let go of our anger, let go of our resentment. We have so much impurity in ourselves, but in our original inborn nature, we don't have any of those. Our inborn nature is supposed to be in total tranquility and total stillness. Number 3, we use water to clean a lot of things. We use water to wash dishes, to wash cars, to mop the floor. Water will accept whatever we do onto it, but never complain. So this teaches us that we need to accept all the bitterness which come upon us. Imagine we go to restroom and we always have to flush the toilet, and we take on whatever water benefit us, but after we use it, what are we going to do? We will trash it, right? After we wash our dishes, what happened to those water? Most likely will go down to the drain, but water does not complain. This teaches us that we need to accept the bitterness. So does the water. Number 4, it's water's inborn nature to flow to the low point. So what can we learn from water? We should learn from water to be humble in any place. Just like water flow to the low point, regardless. And mingle with spices and color. You know, when we cook, if we are cooking a pot of soup, we add different spices. The salt, the sugar, the sweetness. So the water will all accept it. And there are times that we will add different color. When I cook my soup, I like to use turmeric, and the color become yellow or orange. So this teaches that we need to embrace others. And number 6, conform in any shape. Water is very flexible in its shape. So whatever container we pour in, if it's a rounded container, it will change its shape to the round shape. So does the square shape or whatever shape. So this tells us that we should be like water, adapt with any situation. In any situation, in any environment, we need to play our own role well. If we are in a family, sometimes we play a different role. I am a wife. I'm also a mother, and sometimes I need to be a teacher too. And so do you. When you go to work, you need to play the role of being the boss or being an employee. And there are times that we experience financial difficulty. So in the state of financial situation, or even worse, sometimes we are in poverty, we need to be able to adapt in that situation too. And there will be time that you become mother-in-law and father-in-law. Are you able to handle that role well? And some of you might be the son-in-law. This is learning from water about its flexibility and play a different roles as water conform in any shape. With all this that I mentioned about, although water have different function and it has so much benefit that provide in our daily life, but it doesn't matter what water does. Its characteristic does not change. It's always H2O. From number 1 to number 6, water will not change its characteristic. So isn't it like what we talk about in chapter 7, selflessness? So if we can learn from water, go back to our original true nature, we will all be like Buddha, Bodhisattva, or be like the saints and sages. So Lao Tzu used water as a metaphor. It resembles the greatest virtue. Tao Te Ching has 81 chapters. Every chapter is really good. I mean, if you want to study one chapter alone, that will be good. But if you want to relate to other chapter, that will be also wonderful. But I want to stress that on chapter 8, if you want to study along and practice it, you will be the sentient sages or Buddha Bodhisattva, because water has the greatest virtue of all. And in the following session, I will share with you water has 7 virtues. Water benefits myriad creatures and does not content. So water provides many benefits to all living beings. When the water flows, all the sentient beings benefit. We all rely on water. It doesn't matter whether it's a small insect, organism, plantation, agriculture, small animal, big animal, or human. We all need water, right? And the worst thing is that water does not have substitute. If we need water, and one day if we don't have water, what are we going to do? Can we use oil to substitute water? We cannot. You and I, we eat rice or bread or potato, one of those each day. If there's no potato today, I can have rice. If there's no rice, I can have bread. If there's no bread, I can eat corns. So on the food, we have different choice. Water, there's no other replacement. And say electricity. If there's no electricity, we can use a flashlight, right? And if we need gas for cooking, we can create a bonfire, make some fire with wood, and then we can use that to replace gas. But water really does not have substitute. So water benefits so many sentient beings. In cultivation perspective, we need to learn to be like water to benefit others. We cannot live one day without Tao. So to any one of us, we cannot live one day without water. That's why Lao Tzu used water as a metaphor. Everybody needs water to survive. So to us, we need water and we need Tao to survive. Therefore, Tao and water is an equivalent term for highest virtue or the greatest virtue. So on this verse, in the end, it says does not content. What does it mean by does not content? Here I list up 3 items. It never wants to be known, because those who do good deed should not do so for advertising themselves. So after the water flow to all the sentient beings, after the water benefit all the sentient beings, the water just move on without waiting for recognition. After we wash the dishes, the water just go down to the drain. After the water flow to the plantation, the water just continue flowing. It never asks for recognition or reward or compensation. And number 2, after we use it, we just dump it. We really or never recognize the power of water or the benefit of water. When is the last time you say thank you to water? I never do that until the recent time I was preparing chapter 8. I say, wow, water does so many great things to me and to all the sentient beings. I really need to thank water. But the moment that I think water, the water is already gone. Number 3, it's about never boast. In our life, we do a lot of pray or worship to the deities, to Buddha, Bodhisattva. When is the last time you pray to God and Goddess? Last time in our Tao session, Jinya Mastery talks about there's a deity in the tree. There's deity in the ocean. There's deity in some form or shape. For example, in the Greek mythology, there is a deity of the sky, there is a deity of beauty, Venus. And then there's the deity of the sun and the moon. But it's very rare that people worship the deity of water. Oh, I forgot to mention that the deity of agriculture, the deity of fertility and thunder. So this is in the Greek mythology. So in human society or humankind, we really don't really mention about the deity of water. Isn't that interesting or ironic? We rely so much on water, yet water is the least thing that we think about. Situated in the most disgusting place. Today we talk about chapter 8, and this is my second time doing the sharing on chapter 8. In my first sharing, I translated as situated in the most undesirable place. But as I was working on chapter 8, I think undesirable wouldn't describe the word here, because this word here in Chinese, it's far more than dislike. It's far more than undesirable. It's far more than unworthy. It's something that really disgusting. It's smelly, it's filthy, it's dirty, it's murky, it's stuffy, it's dark. So what will be the best adjective to describe water? I mean, to describe this word. So I think that all this adjective will not be able to describe well compared to this one. Therefore, I use this word disgusting. It has a strong revulsion and strong aversion that people never want to stay. Yet water situated in the most disgusting place. Here is the description of it. Water stay in the low place, dirty, filthy, stinky, murky, smelly, and most undesirable place that no humankind want to stay. So in terms of cultivation, that will be here in the second line. There will be time that we don't want to stay in that place. We do something, some work, we do some work to benefit other people, yet we are being criticized, we are being slandered, being misunderstood, being complained or being gossiped. Sometimes we are in the epicenter of the gossip scenario. This can happen in any organization. It can happen in any temple or any church or any nonprofit organization. So if water can stay in those disgusting places, we should be able to stay in there. Why? Because we are the Tao cultivator. Lao Tzu want to warn us that if we are a Tao cultivator, if we are taking this path to cultivate Tao, if we are taking this journey to walk on this Tao, eventually we will be criticized. Eventually we will be slandered. Eventually we will be misunderstood or be complained. In other words, if you just want to be a regular person, a common person, not doing anything, then this is something that you can avoid. But even a common person will experience this. However, if you are walking on the path of Tao, you will experience more of this. This is what Lao Tzu described here. If you want to practice the greatest virtue of Tao or greatest virtue of water, there should be time that you will find yourself situated in the most disgusting place. So water is being poured, mixed, and mingled with others ingredients without complaint. So this will be the situation that we have to go through. Why? Because water, a lot of time, their job or their function is to clean others and dirty itself. Unlike human like to be clean and be decorated. Number 2, human like to be selfish and isolated. This is the human nature. But water have the great virtue to combine other stream. Water is welcoming in embracing with other stream. And number 3, humans tend to individualize with personality. There is a slang saying, if I want to do it, why not? The Nike slogan is just do it. Just do it, meaning I like it, I should just do it. With my intention, I should just do it. Number 3, water can accept and adapt with all the situation to accommodate the environment, to accommodate other sentient being, and to accept whatever come onto it. Unlike human being, we like to characterize ourselves as somebody being special. So we just went over the first few verse. The first verse is water benefits myriad creature and does not contain. Here is the benefit. Water want to provide all the benefit to all the sentient being without being recognized, without being compensated, without boasting. Yet, after water does all those good things, water could be situated in the most disgusting place. That's in the next line. Being disgusting place meaning not being understood and being criticized and being gossip, being slander, being complained. So that's the worst thing that a person can situate it in. And this is the disgusting place. And somebody can make up a lot of things about so and so. When somebody do these 2 things, therefore the greatest virtue is achieved. Thus, the next verse say, it is very close to Tao. So if we are doing something great to serve the public, to benefit others, there will be time that we have to put ourselves in this disgusting place. This path is not for everybody. This path is for the people who want to achieve the greatest virtue, to be a saint and sages. It's a training ground to graduate from Buddhahood, to graduate from angel camp. On this path of Tao, or on this journey of Tao, there's no way that you will receive compliment or praise all the time. There will be time that we will put ourselves in this undesirable situation. So we just finished the first 4 verses on this chapter. And I want to share with you the analysis of the structure of Lao's writing, because this Chinese word is being repeated 7 times, and I find that it's important to talk about this. First verse is 上善若水. As you can see, this word 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm sorry, only 9. So this word is being repeated 9 times. So on the first line, this is a noun. Virtue is used as a noun here. On the second one, water benefits. So this word is used as a verb. So the following poem that we are going into is 7 verses. And those word of san is used as a verb. The first one that I highlighted in pink, this describes the situation or the environment that water will be in different places. The blue line, the blue square means the action. So here is the place that water is in, and here is the action. And I leave this empty. I leave this empty because I find it very difficult to translate the verse as a verb, because in Chinese, this word can be used as a noun, can be used as an adjective, and as a verb. So this is what it means in noun: benevolence, charity, goodwill, good deed, and kindness. And this is the adjective. I spent a lot of time thinking about what verb I should use. And after all this time, I give up because I think none can deliver the correct verb that will fit in here. So I just leave it alone. So I make it like a poetic style. Indwelling, comma, rightly placed. At heart, comma, deep. The structure on the layout of the translation was somehow echo with or rhyme with Lao Tzu's layout. Here it's verb, which I skip the word, but as we go through the following slide, keep in mind the verb, it means do it wholeheartedly, kind-heartedly, or act with benevolence. indwelling, rightly placed. So where does water dwell? Water dwell in its nature, water dwell in the lowest place. You will not see water dwell in high place. And because it's in the low place, it's unnoticeable, it's undesirable, and it's also because of the gravity. Most of the time, the dirty stuff, the smelly stuff, filthy stuff, and muddy things will go into the water. So in terms of cultivation, there's a great deal that we can learn from water. Stay humble, just like the water flows to the low place. It's our greatest virtue to stay humble. In chapter 2, Laos talk about high and low support each other. The noble is based on humble. So if you want to climb high, if you want to have a high status, if you want to be a respected person, or you want somebody to respect you, you have to stay low. You have to stay humble. If you are somebody who's arrogant, how would you earn the respect from other people? You cannot. So the high-rise tower is based on a good foundation. And since water is indwelling in dirty, smelly, filthy, and muddy place, there's a great deal we can learn from water too. As we talked about in the previous verse, that there will be time that we are in the disgusting place. And when it comes, we just have to accept the difficulties, the struggles, the slandering, and the criticism, bear the bitterness, and sometimes we have to accept the mistake from other people, like taking responsibility. We, as the Tao cultivator, there will be some junior that is following us. So if the junior make mistake, we will have to take on their mistakes. One great example is Jesus. He carried on all the mistake for all the humanity, and he is crucified on the cross. So keep in mind, on this path of journey, the more you do, the more criticism you will get. Usually, if somebody who is arrogant, the arrogant person, it's quite different. The arrogant person want to always be noticed, want to sit in the high place, want to stay in the most visible spot. However, there's a danger because this arrogant person is staying in a high place. There will be envy, jealousy come upon. Therefore, highest place sometimes is not the safest place. So in conclusion, if we stay humble, if we stay low, that's a safe place. As the high place sometimes can be dangerous. At heart, deep. Water has different form and shape. So in room temperature, water is in the liquid form. In coldness, water changes to solid shape, into ice. In high temperature, water becomes gas form. So regardless which form water transforms, the water elements H2O is the same. So same thing for cultivation. It doesn't matter what situation we go through. We have to maintain our inborn nature. Our inborn nature comes with great virtue: filial piety, courage, benevolence, brotherhood, respect, and humbleness. Those are our inborn nature. And this is something that every one of us are equipped with. Nobody needs to teach us. And it's something that we need to manifest. Water has this characteristic. We also have this characteristic too. It's just so difficult to manifest. So studying the virtue of water help us to realize, hey, I have this inborn nature too. If I can manifest my virtue, same like water, that will be very close to Tao. To talk about Tao, it's very difficult to talk about because it's not tangible. But Lao Tzu used water as a metaphor. So water is something that we can see and we can touch. So if we can learn from water, we will be very close to Tao. In other words, we will very likely to achieve the greatest virtue. So water is deep. It's not apparent on the surface. It has remarkable depth of character, and the depth is immeasurable. So sometimes when we talk to a person in our temple, we have a senior masterly and junior masterly. they have great virtue. And when you talk to them in the first glance, you don't know how much virtue they have until you get to know them. So it takes time for you to get to know them. So same thing like us, if we would communicate with other people, we would take it slowly. We don't want to express too much of our wisdom. That will not be humble. So we want to show our humbleness. It's as if that we are a foolish person. In a virtuous person sometimes appears foolish. I want to tell you a short story. There are two gentlemen. These two gentlemen, they have an argument about where is the apple come from. Gentleman A say, the apple come from the tree. And gentleman B say, no, the apple does not come from the tree. The apple comes from the ground. So the gentleman A say, oh, no, that's not true. Everybody know the apple comes from the tree. So the gentleman B say, no, I don't think that's true. Everybody know that apple comes from the ground. I'm sure I'm right. So gentleman B say, I'm sure I'm right. If I'm wrong, I will give you my head. I'll give you my head. So they have this argument for hours. And these two person went to confront to a sage that they both know. So they explain the situation to the sage. So the sage understand the situation, and the sage say, gentleman A, you are wrong. Apple does come from the ground. Gentleman A was so discouraged, and gentleman B was so happy. And then gentleman B teasing gentleman A, you are such a fool. I told you so. Apple come from the ground. So then he laughed, and then he teased both of them, and he took off. So afterward, gentleman A asked the sage, why did you say apple come from the ground? You and I know it's not true. But the sage say, well, sometimes you just have to act like a fool, because if you say apple comes from the tree, that means he's going to give you the head. Then that means a life will be lost. You don't want to commit any murder, right? So gentleman A understands. And I think the moral of the story is that sometimes we have to act like a fool, not so smart. In our society, we have to act that way, unfortunately. And Laos already told us that. I want to share with you an example. Have you seen this YouTube video? This just happened on February 1st, 2021. So this is it's a sad story, by the way. This is a screenshot that I got it from the YouTube. It's a real story. A snow shoveling dispute among two neighbors. So what happened was that this is in Pennsylvania, just happening recently. So this couple, they live in a heavy snow area, and recently on the East Coast, there's a snow thunder coming upon. So this couple, they shovel the snow into their neighbor, which they are not supposed to do. So this neighbor realized, and they have an argument. They say all kind of F word. So finally, they come into a heated confrontation. Three persons are so angry. This person, his name is Jeffrey Spade. I think he's 47 years old. He went to his home and then come up with a pistol. And this woman said, if you dare to shoot me, shoot me. So this gentleman was so heated, and he shoot her. And also he shoot this gentleman too. And while they are already laying on the ground, this gentleman, it's still with so much anger, resentment, and heat. He went back to get AR-15 rifle and continue to shoot this woman. Although this woman was still alive, she still can be safe after she got a pistol shot earlier. And this gentleman, although he was still alive after he received a pistol from the earlier shot, but after this gentleman went into his house to get the rifle, both of them received a couple more shots, and they were dead in the spot. Although this man, he wanted to exercise his right of property. I mean, this couples should not dump the snow into his property. But wouldn't you agree that if he acts as a fool, then he wouldn't commit the murder to this married couple? To end the story, somebody called the police. By the time police come to the scene, he committed suicide. So it's 3 persons dead on the scene. So I just want to say that in the heated discussion, sometimes maybe we are right, but it's okay to act like a fool, because if you don't act like a fool, it might cost you a life. Unfortunately, this is our society, and we have to learn how to thrive. And it's important to act like a fool sometimes to have your life safe. Okay, so when we encounter somebody, say a friend, a person, or a stranger, we won't be able to discover remarkable virtue until we get to know them. Number 3, the pitiful thing to avoid as a Tao cultivator is to brag on our attainment or distance ourselves from the young and the newbie. A lot of Tao cultivator, we achieve the level of Tanzu, like a temple host, or sometimes we took the mouth purification vow, and we tend to look a little higher than other people or look superior. But it's important to not brag about ourselves, to not brag about our status, because even Buddha comes from the human realm. So if we have not achieved Buddhahood yet, then there's really no comparison. There's nothing to brag about. And like me, I am a vegetarian for like 7 or 8 years. I too come from a meat eater too. So there's nothing to brag about because I come from there. I come from those environments, but it's through time change I realized that I want to be a vegetarian. So although I want to encourage you, everybody, to be a vegetarian, but I would never look down on anybody. And if one day I become a temple host, I would not look down on anybody. So it's important to not express too much of ourselves. We want to preserve ourselves, preserve our virtue like the deep pool of water. And we want to mingle with the newcomer. We want to mingle with the young, with the newbie, the new follower, the new people. So if we want to cultivate to the greatest virtue, it's important to keep our water immeasurable so that people can only see our surface, not our remarkable character deep under the surface. In relation, benevolent. This word, 予, it means to give. To give, it must involve two parties. One is the giver, the other one is the recipient. Therefore, I translated as in relation, because if there's no giver, if there's no recipient, there's no giving. Giving have to have this two party. So in relations, benevolent. So water naturally flow to benefit all. Water flows to the agricultural area. This is the inborn nature of water. Same thing for us. When we flow our virtue, we want to flow from our heart, flow from our inner nature, flow from our inner being. As the water flow across the land, it nourishes all living beings, and it nourishes all the plants and all the animals, but it just continue flow on without stop. In other words, it does not stop to ask for recognition or ask for praise. Not only that, water provides the giving cheerfully for washing, for us to washing dishes, for us to drink, for us to clean. Therefore, in terms of cultivation, when we give a talk, when we are in a friendship, when we give a gift, we want to give happily. When we give a talk or sharing, we want to give it with a cheerful, heartwarming talk. It's better to be inspirational, motivational, enriching, and heartwarming. If somebody is feeling low, we want to enrich people's life. We want to awaken other spirit. It's our goal to welcome everybody to join our journey. We want to welcome everybody to join us on this path of Tao. So the only way to do it is to encourage people to accommodate everybody who comes onto this path. Maybe somebody is just standing right there. You tell them, hey, come over here. It's better to stay together than stand alone. It's better to create a bonfire with so much firewood instead of standing alone, because if you stand alone, your fire will die down, and when the wind blows, your fire will vanish. And if you have a bonfire with everybody cuddled together, we will be stronger. So it's our ultimate goal to welcome everybody to the path of Tao. So water is to fulfill other, to encourage other, to inspire other. In the recent time, I encounter several friends. They told me that they have a difficult life. Why is my life so difficult? Do I have so much karma or what? I have a difficulty finding job. I don't have money. I'm experiencing some financial hardship. Do I have so much karma? So yes, karma is no way to explain it. But instead of mentioning about karma, we can use other words to explain the situation. So we can say that in our life, if we don't have those difficulty, if we don't have those struggle, how can we learn? So all those struggle, all those difficulty are an opportunity for us to build up ourselves. Imagine 10 years or 20 years ago, I'm sure all of us have less wisdom, are more naive, have less knowledge on Tao. As throughout this year, we've been through so much. We've been through financial difficulty. I'm sure you all been through that somehow. We've been through family difficulty. We've been through career hardship. We've been through economic loss. I've been through economic loss. So now I treasure whatever I have. Without those experience, without those difficult hardship, if you don't have any family loss, if you don't have any passing family, how would you treasure those family that you still have? So it's only through those hardship that you build up yourself. This is a better way to explain why somebody have karma. So I always like to use this positive encouragement when somebody told me that, why do I have so much karma? I mean, you do have some, but the majority, I will shift the focus. I will shift the conversation to, it's God want to provide you with this great responsibility. That's why God gave you this tool. Without this tool, without this difficulty, without this strength, you will not become a saint and sages, right? Or you will become a great person. Okay, and here, river flow across the land, but never wait for recognition in place. It's our human nature to give with string attached. After we give, we try not to give any condition. And as a Tao cultivator, we will not deliver gossip. We not deliver negativities. We're supposed to flow with our inborn nature, and this inborn nature is supposed to flow with positivities. We should not spread low energy. In other words, whatever we say is supposed to be positive energy, because the moment that we say something bad, we are spreading the bad energies. So this water really demonstrates a higher virtue, the virtue of unconditional kindness. I have to warn you, or Laos already warned you, that the more you give, unfortunately, sometimes we will receive complaint. There will be time that you give, but then some people will take advantage of you, which is okay if it's not too much to endure. In speech, it's true and truthful. Water reflects its integrity in its surrounding. In every year in the early spring, we will experience raining season. In the winter time, it will snow. In the morning, we will experience mountain dew. And also, if you live by the ocean, you will experience, or you will see the high tide and the low tide. It's usually the high tide and low tide happen twice in a day, or sometimes once in a day. Here I pull out a picture from the internet. This is the Huntington Beach tide chart. This is very blurry to you, but you don't really need to see it, but you can see there's a pattern here. So the high tide and low tide is something that we can see and observe. We will not see, say, 5 high tide and then 1 low tide. So it will be 1 high and 1 low, or 2 high and 2 low. It's pretty consistent, although the time can vary. Water reflects trust in temperature too. In a heated condition, the water molecule will ascend. In a cold condition, the water molecule will descend. Isn't that true? So in cultivation, we want to reflect our integrity, our truthfulness too. If there is any Tao brother or sister come to me or come to you, or if you have any friends or relative come to us asking our opinion, hey, what do you think about this? We should express our opinion, reflect our truth. So in other words, the speech and the behavior need to be consistent. So whatever we speak, it has to be clear, concise, with accuracy, so that people can trust our words. I like to deliver my words with honesty. So if somebody asks me something, I try to tell them a truthful answer. So the worst thing that we can do is to mislead other people, to guide people to the wrong path, to be deceitful. We don't want to commit fraudulent act. We don't want to scam people. We don't want to lie. So there's so much thing that we can learn from water. Water deliver integrity. So doing, we need to deliver the integrity through our speech and behavior too. In governance, good. In governance, good. Here on this word here it means management. But I don't want to put the word management, because based on Lao Tzu's teaching, there's really nothing to manage. Everything is self-managed. It's wu wei, it's do without doing. If we have a government, Lao Tzu advocate on the government does not really need to do anything, should not impose any rule. The citizens supposed to be well behaved if this is a harmonious society. So here I don't want to put manage, I just want to put good. So in governance, everything is good. In governance, water provides all living beings in high mountain as well as flatland. Water does not play favoritism, does not differentiate, does not have any judgment. So water will flow to wherever it needs to go, regardless forest or oasis or desert, it just doesn't matter. So for cultivation, we need to treat everybody the same. So this is a great virtue that we should learn from water. Treat the rich same as the poor. Treat our elder, treat our master same as the newbie. So there's no favoritism. And then in our society, we will experience some people who are more rich than us, some poorer than us. Some people have better job than us. Some people have lower wage job. So somebody will look more beautiful than us. Somebody will look not so desirable than us. Those are external stuff. Those are temporary appearance or temporary phenomenons. So all this phenomenon will go away once our body perish or when we take our last breath. Therefore, we should not favor on all this. There's nothing to compare about, because deep inside of us, if I would take away all this, if I would take away all your status, all your wealth, all your job, financial status, and your body, what do we have inside? There's only one thing in common in us. Of course, our karma will be different, but our original pure consciousness will be the same. We are all the same. It's just like what I always talk about. We are the same drop of water from the ocean. We are all the same. The only difference is the moment that we ascend from the deep ocean of water to become the peace in the clouds, then we start to look different. Hence, we have a different look, we have a different job, different status. Otherwise, it should be the same. So we should not have any favoritism. So this is Wu Wei, should not have any differentiation. Therefore, when we strip everything away, it's a self without any condition or any phenomenon that is called selflessness. Yeah, so all this thing is what happened after we are born. But before we are born, our original pure consciousness is supposed to be the same. And I want to share with you the story on number 6, because when we have a differentiation on all this, then we will have an extra burden. If somebody is better than us, we will start to compare. We will have stress. Oh, this person makes more money than me. Oh, I'm getting a low wage job. How can I get a higher wage job? This person has a master's degree. I only have a bachelor degree. This person has a bachelor degree. I only have a high school degree. This person is more rich and I am less. Here's the story of the glass of water. There's a professor in a university holding up the glass of water. So the professor asks, how heavy, I have this water here, how heavy is this water? So the student, they start raising their hand. They start guessing, oh, that water I think it's really difficult because we don't know how many ounces in the cup. If we know how many ounces in the cup, then we can know the content of the water. So somebody shouted out, that looks like 8-ounce cup, so that 8 ounce can contain 6 ounces of water. There's students say 4 ounce, 5 ounce, 6 ounce. And then the professor say, it's none of those. So the professor goes on.
How heavy is the cup depends on how long one holds it.
If he's holding it for a few seconds, he will feel this cup of water is very light. It doesn't feel anything. But if he will hold it for hours, his arm will begin aching a little bit and it will become heavy. And if he would hold the cup of water for days, say 24 hours, what happened to his arm? He will feel numb and perhaps will feel paralyzed, and he will feel the cup of water so heavy. In our life, if we feel much stress or feel much heavy, it's because we are holding on it too long. So if we can let go of it, then we will feel less heavy. So it really depends on how long you hold that thing. So a lot of that thing, that stress, come from favoritism, come from judgment, come from comparison. Isn't that true? Learn like water, being able to flow to all the sentient being, and after the sentient being benefit from water, and the water just move on. Isn't that beautiful? That way, if we learn from water, we will not have any stress. In dealing, capable. So water has many different functions. Water provides, it serves many functions in different forms. First of all, water provides the form of rain, dew, frost, ice, snow, and vapor. And in our life, it provides many functions. It gives us the liquid for drink and food, for irrigation, electrical power, allow us to have entertainment purpose. We can go boating, jet skiing, parasailing. It can help us wash dishes or cleaning and flushing. But keep in mind, after we use those water for cleaning, all the water will be gone. It will be trash. So even though water, it provides us so much talent, but we never appreciate water. This is the capability of water. Water is not just limited to gas or liquid form. It provides flexibility. And in the snow time or in the winter time, people go to play snowball or ski. Water plays a different role. So in cultivation, it tells that we need to adapt in any environment. Sometimes we are in the environment of family, and in family we play a different role. at work, we have a different role. Sometimes we play in a role of a partnership. Sometimes we need to be our own boss. Sometimes we need to be a obedient employee, but sometimes we just need to be in charge. The verse here tell us that we need to be multitasking. Isn't it true that in our family, we need to be multitasking? Be able to drive because we are our own driver. Sometimes if we are hungry, we need to cook. And if the restroom, the mirror is dirty, we need to clean the mirror. If the floor is dirty, we need to mop the floor. If the toilet is stinky, we need to wash the toilet. So we need to be multitasking. Same thing for the temple. In the temple, if we want to achieve great virtue, sometimes it means that we have to serve others. Serving others meaning we have to do wisdom sharing. Maybe not like the one that I'm doing, because the one that I'm doing here is 1.5 hours long. It takes a lot of gathering information. So maybe a wisdom sharing will be just a simple phone call to cheer a friend up, to a simple conversation, or maybe just send a cheerful message to your friends, or on your Facebook messaging channel. So the wisdom sharing can be very short, and we need to greet the newcomers. We need to perform ritual, and we need to do cooking too. At our home, we also need to do that too. And we need to host events. Sometimes we need to host different activity. And one thing everybody can do is participation. Just like every one of you here, you are participating in this class, and I see that you are doing great virtue, because without you here, without all the Zoom participant here, then I would not be here. So you are also doing great virtue here. And we also need to welcome new challenges in the future. So flexibility, adaptability is the keys. Just like Confucius say, the accomplished scholar does not conform to any container. So we need to be able to adapt to any situation. So being able to handle all obstacle with great ease, because whatever obstacle, whatever struggle come upon us, it will be a training lesson or a training ground for us. It's good exercise. Imagine if we cannot pass that, how can we pass that when we pass away? Do you think we can handle all the obstacle in the bardo stage? Do you think that you can handle everything in your next life? If you think you cannot handle it in the future, then you should just try to handle it this time, because in Tao cultivation, we believe that all the obstacle, all the difficulty that come into our life, it's all the lesson that we need to learn. So unless we learn those lessons, then those difficulty, those struggle will continue to come. So try to score an A in this life for every lesson. If we have 100 lessons we need to complete, there's a lesson of marriage, there's a lesson of being a student, there's a lesson of being a good spouse, there's a lesson of being a good son, a lesson of being a good brother, sister, a lesson of being a good parent, a lesson of being a good pet owner. All this lesson we have to fulfill. So our life is like a ladder. It doesn't matter how much you achieve or how much you climb up in the past, but think of our life is a ladder. So whatever we go, we want to go up, but not descend. We want to ascend, not descend. So whatever we can do in our life, that will be the best. Just like water provides so much ability, so much talent. Try to do as much as we can in our life. In movement, timely. So in movement, it's talking about the yin and the yang, because the yin and the yang, it has the time that we're supposed to stay quiet, but will be time, the white part, that we're supposed to stay active. So in our life, we have a lot of time that we need to stay active. So in water works according to its season. In the springtime, there's a spring rain. The spring rain will not fall in the winter. The winter snow will not come in the summer. So does the high tide and the low tide. So everything has its schedule. Everything has to come in the right timing. So in Tao cultivation, same thing too. In dealing with our daily life, there are times that we want to call our friend. There will be good time to call, and there will be bad time to call. The bad time will be breakfast time, lunchtime, and dinner time. I will say lunchtime, 12 o'clock, dinner time, 6 o'clock, and then don't call too early, like 6 o'clock, 6 a.m. That will be too early. That will not be appropriate to call because most people will be sleeping. Likewise, you don't want to call 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. So there will be appropriate time to call people. Same thing, if you want to call a friend that you haven't talked for a long time, you don't want to call in Christmas time because we have to expect people are having their Christmas time or Thanksgiving time together with their family. They want to spend time with their family, not necessarily talking to you on the phone. So if you want to talk, try to do that before or after. So same thing for the Tao cultivation. In our temple, if we have any planning on seminar or classes, we try to avoid on the Christmas time or on the Thanksgiving day. We always have to do it before or after. We try to do it before. So if we have a lot of participants here, our farmer, we wouldn't do that in the farming time. If we have a lot of participants, our students, we don't want to do it during their final exam. And then if we have a participant who are like doing electrician work, say we just have a power outage. Say in Southern California, we experience electricity outage because of the thunderstorm, so there's no power. So you wouldn't call your friend or host a class in those times because people are experiencing stress or trauma. So those are not a good time. And then right now it's February 17th. As you know, April 15th is coming. So we wouldn't schedule some kind of big events or the Tao session on that day because it's just not humane. It's not correct, not appropriate, not a good timing. Never content, thus no fault can be found. Water does not content. Water always stay low. In the previous slides, water benefit everything without waiting for rewards, without waiting for recognition. And it's not for water itself, it's for benefiting others. So if water is staying so low, nobody will complain because water is in the most filthy place, it's in the most unnoticeable place. Therefore, nobody wants to compete with water. So in Tao cultivation, we should act the same virtuous water. We don't want to compete with others, no competing on the fame or the names, no seeking on the rewards or compensation. Whatever we do, we want to give it to others. Although I have this Tao Te Ching session here, although I am the one who is talking here, but I don't want to take all the credit. I hope that one day you and I can learn together with me and we can all do some kind of activity together. So right now, I hope that to provide inspiration to you, to motivate you to come on to the journey of Tao so that we can work together, so we can create a great bonfire of Tao. So all the credit I want to go to you because without you being here, I wouldn't be here. So staying low is the safest place because nobody will want to target on me. Nobody want to have jealousy or envy on me because I give great effort to everybody and I give you all the credit and I say, thank you very much. So when you give the credit to everybody, that's really powerful because the task will be quickly complete in our daily life and problem being solved. Imagine there's a family dispute or argument in our life and somebody say, who break this glass of water? Who break it? Even though that person break it and then you say it's you, then nobody will complain. You just take the blame. So it's okay to take on people's mistake to solve the problem. In my family, sometimes if it's not my mistake, I will say, oh, I'm sorry, mom did it. It's me. then it become a custom. They know, oh no, it's not you. It's someone else. Anyway, so it's okay to act like a fool. That's what Jigong Buddha did. That's what Buddha Maitreya did. Buddha Maitreya has a big belly. He take on everybody's mistake. He is so compassionate. He endures standard struggleness and just take on criticism, take on gossip from everybody. Yet his virtue is long lasting. So if we can learn from water, never contains, the relationship with our family will improve dramatically. So this is the 7 virtue of water. So here's the summary. 7 virtue of water. This is what we just went over. In terms of Tao cultivation, we can learn from water being humble, learn to have a depth of character, giving to other with unconditional love, integrity and sincerity. If some people come to us for opinion, we tell them the truth and conduct without bias and favoritism, no judgment, no discrimination, no preference, flexibility and adaptability, and a sense of time and mindfulness. When we deal with people, always think about, is this the right time? And after we do all this, we don't want to claim on anything. And just like chapter 2 stated, the virtue will last. So this is the content for chapter 8. Again, here's the intro, here's the body, and here's the conclusion. I want to point out to you that this word is being repeated twice in our chapter. Does not contain, never contain. So this is the same. It's important to understand water does not contain. So do we. When we practice great virtue, we don't want to content or compete. So hopefully today we learn great virtue from Lao Tzu's chapter 8. And I want to point out this yellow highlight is because I want to mention that chapter 8 echo with chapter 2. After the saint and sages do so much, he wants to stay extraneously and he wants to stay at last. After he teach, after he attend all virtue, after he forget all being, devotes all deeds, and achieve all success, he wants to play himself last. So this is the way of water flow to everything, but without contention, without competition, without complaint, not waiting for recognition or rewards. So this is my chapter 8 session. But before I finish, I have one more slide that I want to share with you, which is this one. So when we talk about water is virtuous. Water, so much admiration that we need to learn from water. But what about tsunami? I have encountered this question, so I want to go over this one. Water is virtuous if it comes with moderation, but if it's too much, it's not good. Same thing for fire. If fire is too much, it's not good. Wind too much is not good. So the tsunami here, it destroyed people's life. It turned people's life upside down. There's humongous, immeasurable economical loss around the globe when the country suffer from tsunami. The most tsunami that devastating the country is Indonesia and Japan. It's very unfortunate. So where does the tsunami come from? So in the Suragama Sutra, it mentioned that the water, the tsunami, the water flood, it comes from greed. When people have so much greed, it becomes a form of a negative energy. And that energy, you say, why so much? So the energy can be spread. To give you an example, we all live with our family. If I'm angry and I start to express myself, my family can feel it and they want to stay away from me. When I'm angry or when I have too much greed, I try to do things maybe immorally or unethically, and maybe I try to scam people and try to fraud and try to do some kind of advertising, misleading other people. So when there's too much greed coming upon, and when that is too much, when people in the society are so much involved in greed, this is what happens. We will experience hurricanes, flood, tsunami. Or earlier I was talking about fire. So fire, when we have much anger, our blood will boil, our heart will pump fast, and our family member can feel it and can sense it. Do you think that Buddha can sense it? What about if you have a small pet at home? I think your dog or pet or cat can feel it too. So if your cat and the dog can feel it, why can't the heaven feel it? Anger comes from aversion. So if we have too much anger in a certain geographic area, there most likely come volcano in certain geographic area. And so does ignorance. And recently we experienced the pandemic. This two, I mark it in green here because this two is not in the Suragama Sutra. So that's why I mark it in green. So the current pandemic comes from the slaughtering of whatever food that we consume. We have so much animal farming on the cow, on the chicken, on the pig, on so many things that we eat. The fish, the shrimp, the lobster. Thanksgiving was just last year. We consumed turkey during Thanksgiving time. So those are the slaughtering that humans commit. That's why we have this pandemic. This saying is from different Buddha scripture, not from Suragama Sutra. Some of them come from channeling, come from Guanyin Bodhisattva's channeling, come from Jigong Buddha's channeling, Buddha Maitreya Sutra, and so does the earthquake. In the channeling, various or different Buddha talks about earthquakes comes from arrogance, because arrogance comes from differentiate, I am higher than you, you are lower than me. So it's a form of comparison. But think about it, arrogance and earthquake, it's kind of related, because I'm comparing me and you. I am higher than you, you are lower than me. Well, most arrogance, it means that I am in a higher position than you. So it's a different degree of platform. Therefore, Buddha say that this is where the earthquake come about. This is a different platform of the movement of the plate. In other words, all this natural disaster comes from our karma, human karma. It's caused from our mind, our body, and our spirit. One thing lucky about this is that in the Suragama Sutra, it talks about karma. There's two types of karma. One is common karma, and the other one is individual karma. So in common karma, everybody will suffer. Just like in the current pandemic, we all suffer from pandemic, but we all suffer different degree. This is individual karma. You and I, maybe we accumulate more virtue, so we experience less karma. This explains that sometimes when a tragedy hits, for example, earthquake, some people will die, some people will survive. So the people who die, they suffer from common karma. And the people who survive miraculously, it's because their individual karma is less than those people who have those common karma. So in this sharing, I want to share with you that karma, it's what we all have. So the important thing is to learn from the virtue, the 7 virtue of water. If we can learn from 7 virtue of water, we can eliminate our karma and to make it less and less. And even though one day, if there is a common karma come upon us, we will be safe, we will be spared, our life will be spared by the resonation of the divinity from heaven and earth. So I finished my chapter 8 sharing. My next sharing will be chapter 9, preservation of our spirit or our Tao.